Welcome to Push for Love. Today we have Janet Shultz. Janet, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Micah. Thank you.
So, tell me a little bit about BlueJ and the endeavors of the cleaning industry.
All right. Well, BlueJ is unique. Blue, first of all, stands for autism awareness, and J stands for Janet, my name. BlueJ is unique in that it is a social enterprise, a business for profit, but addresses a social need, and that need being the high unemployment rate of those on the autism spectrum. So, BlueJ Cleaning Solutions is the name of the cleaning company. And I started the first one in 2012. And over the course of 9 years, I developed a prototype, complete with systems, marketing, procedures, the processes on how to clean, everything you need to know about how to start a cleaning business in this day and age. But in addition to that, I've kind of combined, I haven't kind of, I have, because I have a special education background. So my approach is bringing education and entrepreneurship together and developing this cleaning business. And it's a model. And I sold the first one in 2021, but over the course of the 9 years, I developed that prototype, which is now made available as an offering to other people who are passionate about making a social impact and coming alongside of me in my mission. And
Beautiful.
that's what I do now. I consult with interested and qualified people to start their own Blue Jay in their community, to do what I did.
Yeah.
And their business will be so much better than mine because I have already gone through the learning curve, learned from my mistakes, and there were many along the way. So I believe with all my heart, I was tasked with the responsibility of creating this prototype
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
It was
being
your
able to help
calling.
other people.
Yeah. Yeah. That is quite an endeavor as well. Just helping other people, helping the community, really, which is
Yeah.
definitely a need.
Hmm.
And the beautiful thing is um, how kind of multifunctional the concept is. Because you're right, there is definitely a workforce there that is not being utilized. There's a lot of skill there that's not being utilized, and intelligence just being
Hmm.
overlooked, really.
Right.
I know it's like very common for people to just kind of dismiss the community, which is sad because they have so much ability and talent, especially when it comes to things that are overlooked, like the maintenance or cleaning. It's like such an honorable and functional way to live is just offering that service to people, as well as just the education in the process. Because that's another thing that can be applied to a lot of different industries is how to utilize people or community that is often overlooked because it doesn't fit the norm or it doesn't fit a certain criteria.
Hmm.
So
You're right.
I commend you for that because I feel the same way. Is there been challenges kind of developing this process or trying to get it to be off the ground when you first found?
When I first started in 2012,
Mm-hmm.
um, initially I have to say that when I started the company, I started it out of a means to make a living for myself because I was faced with having to go back into the workforce and having been a teacher and for many years, but also have been an entrepreneur by helping my husband at the time with his construction company. And I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit all my adult life. I've dabbled in different home based businesses, but nothing really ever stuck. But I had that risk taking personality. And it does take a certain type, but anyway, so when it came time for me to have to be faced with this situation and my circumstances, I knew I could not go back in the classroom. I knew too much about myself at that time, had discovered some things, skill sets about me, and I had grown, that I knew that I needed to be in the entrepreneurial world. And so, having been a single parent in my first marriage, most of my children's lives, I taught school and I cleaned houses on the side. And I'm very good at cleaning because I'm detail oriented. I'm just kind of minded that way, but I don't enjoy it. But what I do like is having a small business. And you have to understand, Micah, that all during this time there were some mental health challenges that I had going on in the beginning because I was in trauma and as I was starting this cleaning company. And so I knew from I had the idea, the cleaning company. I had the idea of I wanted it to be a different type of enterprise. I wanted it to be a social enterprise. Align myself with a social cause. And I also knew that somehow I didn't know what it would look like in the end, but way back in the beginning, before I even started hiring people with autism, I knew I wanted this to be a duplicable business model that someone could pick up and duplicate it. So from day one, I started writing down the systems and the processes. And being a teacher and a special ed teacher, I was used to breaking things down by task analysis. So I just, in the beginning, started that process. And all the while, I was reaching out to people that I knew that could help, give me business so that I can start growing, so that I can start making a means to support myself. And I was in survival mode, okay? And any small business, you have to have capital. To not start a business with capital is not wise. You shouldn't unless you have a lot of capital, you should keep your day job for a while, at least 2 years, while you're building your startup. But that wasn't in that frame of mind. Again, I had mental health challenges that I was dealing with and emotional upheaval. So I was going, I was just going with the flow, and but God was with me, and He met me where I was. And my friends, they could read between the lines and see, Micah, that I had something going on. And so they rallied around me, and I was able to find work immediately, and I grew very fast because word got out. And I have good connections within the community here that I was doing this, and I had a good reputation. So a year and a half into it, the biggest challenge for me was finding an employee base. Because I grew so fast, I could no longer do the work myself. So I literally, so frustrated, so disillusioned. Where are the employees that would cling to a process, that wouldn't take shortcuts, that were dependable, that would take instruction, be teachable, didn't come with a preconceived notion. I already know how to clean. It's different cleaning for a business than cleaning your house. It's just different. And just out of frustration, I can remember very vividly sitting on my back little porch of my little apartment and just crying out, where are my employees? And then the epiphany came, and it truly was that, in that you need to look at people on the spectrum, and I, having been a special ed teacher, I knew their skill set. I knew that what I was doing aligned very well, played to their strengths. But I didn't just jump off, I was trying to get some clarity and do my research. And I had a friend in Autism Speaks, and I met with her and talked with her about what I was thinking, my idea, and she supported me wholeheartedly. We even got a grant in the beginning because they supported us. They wanted to see us succeed. And there was nothing, to my knowledge, there's not anything like what I'm doing and what I'm offering to people. So it was very unique. And back in 2012, she told me, well, it was by then it was 2013 going into 2014. And she told me then, she said, Janet, you will see a lot of businesses like yours starting up because families, now they have children that were early identified, and now have gone through the system, and they're adults and they're at home and they can't find a job. Just like I created an opportunity for myself, entrepreneurship offers a lot of choices to people. You know, when you find it difficult to find work, do your research, find out what's a niche out there that is a need, just like I did, and create your own opportunity. And that's what I'm offering to other people, to do the same thing. I think too often, this is just my soapbox, but I think too often we have created a community within the, for lack of a better word, people with disabilities that rely too heavily on programs and services, that they stifle the other opportunities like entrepreneurship that are out there and have possibilities. And one can, I mean, it's endless what can be accomplished through entrepreneurship. And so I come with a different mindset and a different perspective than maybe some in the world. So I do a lot of trying to bring awareness to that fact. Just like when she told me that a lot more companies were going to be starting. I know there's a fudge company in Pennsylvania. There's a hydro farm in New Jersey. There's a car wash in Florida that car wash was started about the same time I started. And it's a social entrepreneurship too. But a cleaning company is a very low cost startup, and I hold your hand through the whole process. But one of the other challenges was, financial. You have to have the capital. You need to have money in the bank so that you can float cash as you grow. That was crippling for me because I started with less than nothing. And I played catch up the whole time. So I don't wish that on anyone, and therefore that's the benefit of me, of my mistakes and what I've learned that I can pass on to other people, that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I've already gone through the learning curve, benefit from that. But when I did my research and I got more clarity about hiring people on the spectrum, I started doing that. I started opening it up to people who wanted to go through the interview process. And granted, this is not charity. It's not an assimilation of a work environment. It is the real deal. I'm a real boss. They're real employees. I do not coddle because I'm all about independence. Whatever that looks like for you, I want you to reach that. And so I developed a culture and environment that fosters that. And so I began opening it up, and Eric became my first person that I hired on the spectrum, and he went through the process of interview, and we do interviewing differently. We don't do it like you and I are doing it now, or the conventional way, talking, one-on-one. But we do it by job shadowing. That way, because some of them are nonverbal. And I get to see, they get to perform, and I get to see how well they can follow instruction. If they're not independent in the beginning, I can tell if they're able to meet that goal, because that is the goal, is to be independent. And I expect you can until proven otherwise. And I don't allow job coaches or anybody on my site holding the hand of the person who I am considering hiring. Because I also believe that I have seen too often that we are producing adults that have become cue dependent on that they have on what's the next step. They do not have the problem solving skills that they need to thrive in adulthood. And so I come with that belief, and that's in my culture. And so they have shown to me time and time again that they don't need that hand holding. They need training just like everybody else, and a chance to show what they've made of. And I've got inspiring stories to prove it.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's true. They just need a little bit of training and a little structure. Just let them be independent.
And
There's a
prove
lot of,
themselves. That's right.
I mean, that's what a lot of people need. They just need a little bit of direction and structure, and just let them do their thing and let them thrive on their own. I mean, it is good to kind of shadow, as you say, just to kind of make sure that they
Mhm.
pick up
Yeah.
everything. Plus, it's probably the best way to teach somebody is just to kind of shadow and let them kind of learn as they go and just kind of help them out where they need it. You said that you were going through some trauma when you first started. Was that something that was kind of supported? Did you have people around you that kind of supported you while you're going through that?
Um, I did. I did. It's even that I did, but it was still very difficult. Um, and I just, the people on the spectrum, I was not always the easiest person to get along with because I was going through trauma. And they were so forgiving, so gracious, so understanding. I owe everything to them. BlueJ has done as much to heal me as it's done to help them. And that is the truth.
Hmm.
So this has just been a healing journey for me. And this particular circumstance, divorce in my second marriage, um, wasn't the first trauma that I experienced in my life. From childhood trauma to a first marriage, and just not ever having overcome any of it, but just being buried and laying dormant. But this second marriage that I had, that was kind of the catalyst in my life that just everything came to surface.
Hmm.
And because of that, I began a journey of healing and getting better and knowing what work I had to do it. So I put in a lot of, and I still am. I still put in, I'm probably the healthiest I've been my entire life emotionally, and I'm 66. But I guess you would say I'm a late bloomer.
Hmm.
I want to impart to your audience that it's never too late to start dreaming. I had a dream back in 2012, and you can see how sometimes it takes a long time for those dreams to be realized, but little bit by little, I can see that it is happening. I have a BlueJ startup that started in Greensboro. That's a nearby town here because I live in North Carolina. I live in Concord, North Carolina. It's a little north of Charlotte. And I am talking to another lady that's in North Carolina. And I'll be attending some events soon around Autism Society in our state. And I've talked to people all over the world this summer with doing these podcasts. That's been my thrust to get the word out. Because for a couple of years after I sold the first BlueJ, so the first one was successful enough that it sold. And one of the attractive pieces to it was the fact that I hired people with autism. And two of my employees are still working there. One of which is nonverbal, and he's been working at the same dentist's office by himself for 7 years. So after I sold my cleaning company, I tried to pick up the business in a box, because it's called the BlueJ Cleaning Business in a Box, the model, the prototype. That's what it's called. BlueJ Cleaning Solutions is the company. And BlueJ Consulting is what I have with the BlueJ Cleaning Business in a Box under that umbrella. But I put it on nothing was happening. And I was so discouraged and so disillusioned. Okay, maybe, yeah, it's a good idea, because everybody, oh, what a great idea, It's a great idea, And I have this business in a box over here because it was already in print, ready to go, ready to pass off. But I had people interested, but nobody really bought. So I thought, well, I resolved myself to thinking, well, it was a good idea, so I guess this first one is the only one. So I just kind of put it on the shelf for a couple of years and did other things, such as, which I hope we'll get to talk about, but I also homeschool for parents. I have a little classroom in the basement of my church, which I homeschool for families, which I'm a big proponent of homeschool. That's an option. And so last year, a lady that I met 5 years ago at a conference for Autism Society of North Carolina, I've been talking it up that long, and she called me out of the blue and have kept my card for 5 years. And she laid it over there. She had it on her counter. And she told me later that after she found out how discouraged I was and how I had given up on the idea, she said, I every day would say, excuse me, I'm going to call her one day. I'm going to call her one day. And one day she called me. And that was last year. And she said, I'm ready. Because she said, my adult son, he had a job at the hospital, but he was fired. And she said, now, she's a librarian in our school system up here in Greensboro. And she said, we're going to do this. We're going to do it as a family. But she's still keeping her day job, and he actually is going to be the entrepreneur. So together as a family, they have started BlueJ Cleaning Solutions Greensboro. And so they are getting clients. I've held their hand. I continue to do that, and that's part of the process. They've gone through the training. We've cleaned together, and they're excited. He's excited because now he has created a job opportunity for himself. And I want to emphasize that people on the spectrum, they can do all facets in this company. They can be the directors of social media. They can do cleaning themselves. They can do some of the accounting. They can go out with you on sales. They can be with you at events. It doesn't, and along with this business in a box comes 5 other expanded services, such as parking lot cleanup, paper shredding, and a few others that go along with providing your client services that they would need, that someone on the spectrum can do independently no matter where they fall on the spectrum. And so I get passionate about it because I realized that I was tasked with developing the prototype, that it's successful and it will work. It has worked. That why should it stay in the Charlotte, North Carolina area? We're all affected by someone with autism all over the world. And it's something that really could make a global impact in their life. And it could change a life, because there's power in giving somebody a job. And not giving them a job, but giving them an opportunity. Because again, this is not charity. Because if they're not ready socially, if they're not ready behaviorally, they aren't ready to take that responsibility. Because, again, remember, we don't coddle. And sometimes parents would get in the way in the beginning. That was a challenge, because they would see failure, and I've had them say this to me, is a dirty word. And it's not. In BlueJ, they are given the room to fail. Okay? And it is a safe environment, that they can gain experience with people that understand them. They can develop a resume, because every single one of them, this was their very first job that they've ever had. And this BlueJ Cleaning Solutions isn't just for people with autism. It's for everyone has a chance. People like that do not have autism. So it's not a bubble. They interface with clients. They interface with people socially, which goes to their challenge, but that's good, because you can grow from that, not shy away from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I could see that. And it's nice to see that growth as well when you're out watching or observing. You can see the start and you can see the progress. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, so anybody that might be interested in becoming a member or employee in BlueJ, how can they get a hold of you if they're interested, if they're listening?
Okay. They can go to our website. That's the best way. You can read about my story. You can read about inspiring stories of people who have gone through the BlueJ process and are what they're doing today as a result. And that website is Blue, the letter J, cleaningfranchise.com. And though the word franchise is in the name, it's only there for search engine purposes. It is not a franchise. It's an affordable startup to a business, and I get no royalties. So you become your own business owner, but you follow the protocols that have worked in the business in a box model and benefit from my consultation services.
Beautiful, beautiful. So it's almost giving them opportunity to just take it up and go and have
Yeah,
that kind of support system, so they know that they're supported. That's
right.
beautiful. Well, thank you for that, and thank you for sharing. I do have one more question before we go.
Sure.
How do you feel the benefits of homeschooling um, have helped you as an entrepreneur?
Hmm. Could you tailor that a little bit?
Sure, sure.
Really?
Because I was imagining homeschooling as creating your own curriculums and processes so that you could then teach a child. Because I have approached homeschooling for my daughter the same way, as just trying to create a process of how do you translate information to a young person. And I can imagine it was the same kind of approach for creating a process to then kind of implement for BlueJ uh, teaching. So how
Well,
does that kind of work for you?
well, my approach is I use the Charlotte Mason philosophy of education. She was an English educator over 100 years ago, and I follow her principles and philosophy. And there is a curriculum, it's a free curriculum online. It's called Ambleside Online. And it's a guide for those who follow the Charlotte Mason philosophy of education. And her philosophy is a rich literary, liberal arts education. Read books. Children get engaged with books. We're a workbook free zone. We don't do unit studies. It's reading and talking about what we've read, narration. It's just a richness of learning where we learn from books, we get engaged with the classics. We don't do twaddle, which she called it, which is busy work. We get outside, we explore nature. Nature study is a big part of her philosophy. So we're out and about. I teach my students entrepreneurial skills, and we have a pet sitting business in our little school. So we actually have clients that we will go to and walk. And we have clients such as a bearded dragon, a bird, not necessarily walk them, but to check on them, and cats and dogs. We go to a farm that is near and next to the church where I have the classroom once a week. So we're out and about in the community with experiences. We try to do volunteer work. We take up jobs here at the church, not that they've asked us to, but that's just part of Charlotte Mason, learning occupational skills. So Charlotte Mason it comes natural to me because, not that you have to be an entrepreneur to do that, but it just kind of goes along with how my approach anyway is. But it's such freedom, and the children are encouraged to self-educate, to be independent of the teacher. I'm a facilitator. I present with you this feast, these books that you can feed on, this information, and it's feeding on ideas. So that's my approach. So I hope that answers your question. But if
Yeah.
you're interested in homeschooling, I cannot emphasize more that you need to please look at Charlotte Mason and Ambleside Online, because to me that's been the most effective. And
Beautiful.
I was homeschooling. I have to add this. I homeschooled my two girls, who are now adults in their late 30s and early 40s, back in the 90s when it was kind of weird, and and that's okay because I don't mind being weird. But I didn't know anything about Charlotte Mason then, but I was doing Charlotte Mason, and I just kind of was just inclined that way because it comes so natural. It's the way children naturally learn, her approach. And so I was doing Charlotte Mason before I even knew who Charlotte Mason was. So funny how when I started my little classroom and homeschooling for parents, that I first learned about who she was. And it just fit together, I guess, just like BlueJ did. Came together.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. It's nice when that happens. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing all that information. I really appreciate it because I do have an interest in homeschooling, and I do love cleaning. And I appreciate the fact that you are helping the community with autism, because I agree. I feel like community they need the support, uh, especially with the job force.
Yeah.
A lot of potential there. But thank you again. Thank you for your time. And if you have any closing remarks, please feel free to let us know.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, this has been Push with Love with Janet Shultz. Please check out BlueJ, and please remember to like and subscribe. Until next time, take care.